From the BzG studio in the Mission Dolores district, right in the heart of San Francisco, it's BzG News with Barrett Courtney.
Thank you so much, everybody who's showing up today, like you over there, and you guys right here. What's up, everybody? My name is Barrett Courtney, and this is BzG News, your last resort for all of the nerdy news that you need to care about. A lot of crazy stuff has happened in the last week. You know, the U.S. won the Olympics, basically, like we do every 4 years, with all those golds. And, you know, like Frank Ocean's new album dropped called, like, Blonde, I think, possibly. And people seem to like it. That seems to be cool, I think. I don't know, that's what's happening in the real world. But let's focus on what's happening in the important world, which is the nerdy news, the video game news, the movie news, and all of that jazz. Some housekeeping before we get into the fucking crazy news that you need to know about. New show coming out possibly in the next couple weeks, so be on the lookout for that right here on youtube.com/BezaZonaGamers and BZGamers.com. I talked about it a little bit last week, just want to sort of shout it out again this week, just so you guys are in the know, you guys will be up to date. Follow me on Twitter at BananaLidsong to sort of get more updates on that. Should be in the next week or two. Depends. It just depends, but that's my goal. Is the next couple weeks, because last week I was like, it might be a couple weeks, might be a couple months, who knows? But no, my goal is to try to get this up in the next couple weeks, so be on the lookout for that. And yeah, that's really all I had to say. But yeah, BzG News right up here on youtube.com/BezaZonaGamers and BZGamers.com every Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, if you weren't familiar with the show and its schedule. But enough about that. Let's get into the fucking nerdy news that happened this week, like this. Some NX news has developed, unfortunately not about the system itself, but what games it may have in its first sort of couple months or whatnot. Yuji Horii, series creator of the Dragon Quest series, was recently in an interview with Nintendo Dream Magazine where Super Smash Bros. Director Masahiro Sakurai asked him if the upcoming Dragon Quest XI would launch on PS4, 3DS, and NX at the same time, in which Horii responded with, quote, "That's right," unquote. He went on to say that, quote, "The use of hardware is different for each system, so development is quite a challenge," unquote. Now, while this may not be huge news, since Horii did say when the game was announced that there would be an NX version, it is vital that he points out that all versions of the game are coming out at the same time. We'll see if that's really true, because he does say, like, yeah, he sort of confirms that it should be released on all of these platforms all at the same time, but he goes on to say, which almost is not contradictory, but it's also, it's sort of like, yeah, it should come out all at the same time, because he says the use of hardware is different for each system, so development is quite a challenge. I mean, that comes with every game, you know? Every game that comes out on, like, Xbox One and PS4 and PC, all of it's different. It's always a fucking challenge. I imagine making video games is fucking hard as shit. So, of course, this is going to be a challenge. I'm a little concerned about the NX release date just because of what he said, and also NX is sort of new. So, like, how much have they been able to test out that hardware to see if that game runs well on the system? But who knows? Am I excited for Dragon Quest XI? Nah. I'm not a huge Dragon Quest dude. If it seems cool, if this one might be able to grab me in or whatnot. I've seen a couple of videos of recent Dragon Quest games that look pretty okay, and I'm open to getting into them. But you know, just thought I should update you guys who might care about Dragon Quest, just to know that they're aiming to have it out on all systems all at the same time. I think it's interesting, though, that PS4, then they skip over the Vita and then go to 3DS and then NX. Just because I think it's like, okay, we got Sony and we got Nintendo, two Nintendo things, a system and a handheld, and then PS4. I don't know. I know the Vita is fucking dead and, you know, it's hard to sell games well on a Vita, but, you know, I thought it was interesting that they focused on one handheld and not the other, so whatever. Anyway, MCU update is brewing here. In a recent photo released from the set of Thor Ragnarok, Chris Hemsworth, who plays Thor, is holding up a card with the address of Doctor Strange. So it seems that Mr. Benedict Cumberbatch will make some sort of appearance in the high fantasy movie set to come out next year after his debut in the Doctor Strange movie, which is coming out later this year. Thor Ragnarok was once described as a buddy movie by Mark Ruffalo, the actor who plays Hulk, who is set to also appear in the movie. But director, I'm totally going to butcher this, Taika Waititi recently stated that, quote, "It's hard to say what the movie is because it's changing. The plot has changed and the script has changed. There are buddy elements to it between Thor and Hulk, but who knows what the final movie will look like," unquote. So I think it's cool. I think, half of this news is cool because we got Mr. Benedict Cumberbatch, who's known is going to play Doctor Strange, and Doctor Strange could come out later this year. I think this is sort of a smart way to integrate Doctor Strange into the rest of the MCU, because we're obviously going to get introduced to him later this year and sort of find where his central area, where he is in the MCU. And I think Thor actually makes sense of the first character who meets him, so he can have a natural sort of integration with the rest of the MCU characters, because Thor is very magic science, fucking whatever they described it as in Thor, the first Thor movie, where he's like, what you know is magic and science are two very different things, but from where I come from, they're one and the same, or whatever that bullshit was. It was their best excuse to try to make magic seem as simple as possible to explain, basically. But I think it's really cool that we're having this sort of magic guy meet Doctor Strange, which is going to introduce mainly what magic is in the Marvel continuity. So I think that sort of makes sense to sort of have those two meet first and then have Doctor Strange slowly meet the rest of the characters of the Avengers. So I think that's really cool. But I'm a little worried here about the overall state of the third and I believe the final Thor movie. This quote from the director, whose name I can't pronounce for the life of me, when he says that it's hard to say what the movie is and who knows what the final movie will look like. He's the director. He should know what the final movie should look like. He should have a vision of this is what I want to nail. And when your director doesn't know what you're leading to, that's really scary. And I think that sort of sets a prime example of what these MCU movies have been a lot of It's sort of why Whedon left. It's why forgetting names, the guy who was originally supposed to do Ant-Man, I believe that's why he left as well. Is sort of Marvel likes to the head honchos of Marvel like to have a set, Paul Feige or whatever likes to have a set sort of story that they're going to lead up to, and the directors are just sort of there. But obviously that's not the entire case, right? Guardians of the Galaxy was this whole weird sort of new direction that you would not think Marvel would have the balls to do, but they did that. So they are trying to test things out and do things differently, but I feel the sort of overall process, the sort of process we've seen time and time again with these Marvel movies, is starting to become a little concerning when your fucking director for your movie doesn't even know what the final movie is going to look like. And I know a director is only a small aspect, right? You've got your writing team, you've got your producers, you've got your editors, and who are going to make different cuts and whatnot. But still, the director should know a little bit what the movie is going to look like at the end. I don't know. It's just something I want to raise up. Maybe a possible little concern. Probably not a lot of people are concerned about it because, not a lot of people are hyped about the Thor movies so far. I think the first Thor movie is pretty good. Second Thor movie, whoa, what the fuck was that scene with fucking Padme fucking floating around in what seemed like a metaphor for having a period? What was that? What the fuck was that movie? I don't know. So some possible worries for Thor Ragnarok, but I think it should be at least cool. There should be some cool little things, even if the entire movie itself isn't that great. There might be cool little moments with Thor and Hulk, we've seen, and they've got they've cast some pretty cool people. Jeff Goldblum, that dude from Star Trek, forget his name, but they've got some cool people coming onto this movie that I'm excited to see where they take place, where they fit into this Marvel Cinematic Universe. So who knows? Moving on. If you missed out on that hot Neo Alpha action earlier this year, and not Neo PS4 Neo the game developed by Team Ninja. Well, don't fret that you missed that Neo Alpha. Team Ninja, the developer of the Dark Souls-esque game, has released a new beta that is available now through September 6th. The beta will give players another opportunity to unlock the Mark the Conqueror DLC for when the game comes out, and also includes a new stamina system, a tutorial, new weapons, a new mission, and more. We did a couple Let's Plays of Neo when that alpha came out, and that was sort of like one of my gripes with it. Henry was all about it. You can watch that series. It's like one of the last Let's Plays, not like one of the very last, but it's like definitely one of the last sort of like 10 to 15 Let's Play series that we did was Neo, and Henry was all about it, and I was sort of like, they haven't really taught me how to, they dropped me into this expecting me to know how to play the game, and those styles of games are very different and foreign to me, so it was hard to sort of get integrated into that when they literally just drop you and you have to fight all of these crazy fucking dudes with like long spears and shit. So I'm excited for this new stamina system. I think the stamina system in the original alpha was okay. I felt like there could have been improvements. But I'm glad that there's a tutorial. Cool that there's new weapons, a new mission, whatnot. But my one concern now is speaking to Henry about this, who's really excited for Neo, is that they keep sort of really, like they did an alpha, now they're doing a beta. Like, let's stop doing that. This is reminding me a lot of Final Fantasy 15. I know that like not a lot of people know about Neo, and not like there's not a hype for Neo like there is for Final Fantasy 15, which is this huge monster that's part of this monster video game series and whatnot. But it's reminding me of that. Stop doing these tests and whatnot, and sort of just focus on the game. Stop worrying about this. Hold on, I believe I'm getting a phone call. I'm getting a phone call from Sean Pitts of IGN. I'm gonna pick it up, and I'm gonna see what's going on here. What's up, Sean Pitts? You're on BzG News. What's up? Dude, Deus Ex is a great game. We have a Deus Ex flag up on Talking Shit next week, which you should check out when that comes out next week. Can I call you back after I'm done with this episode? All right, bye. Sean Pitts, what a great guy. Go follow Sean Pitts on Twitter at Sean Twisters. Give him some love. Send him some fucking love. He's out here, moved from New Jersey to San Francisco, which is not an easy thing to do, and fucking working for this great company, IGN, with a lot of great people. He is having the time of his life right now. Well, he's working hard, and he's having fun with me, and shout out to Woody, another friend. We're all just hanging out. It's a fun time. Anyway, Sean Pitts fucking interrupting the show. What was I talking about? Neo, I'm sort of concerned about all of these sort of tests and betas and whatnot. I just hope that they just don't go back to another beta or something. Just focus on releasing your game. Apparently it's supposed to come out this fall. Who knows if that's actually going to happen. Anyway, if you've ever wanted to play classic PlayStation games on your PC, because you're a fucking nerd, without using PS4 Remote Play, which was something that was available starting a couple months ago, well, here you go. Sony has announced that PlayStation Now will be available on PC as an app. Sony also introduced a new wireless USB adapter to connect your controller to wirelessly connect your controller to, so you don't have to, do the whole cord thing into the PC, which, if you want to like lean back and whatnot, so you don't have to like be held together by that cord. They introduced that, and that's all you need for the PlayStation Now app for your PC is the controller and the app itself. Sony said that you don't need a console to be able to use PlayStation Now on your PC, but if you do already have a subscription, you can now play wherever you want. You can link your account to what the PC app or whatnot. You can play on PS4, PC, and that's really cool. I think sort of PlayStation Now might actually be better utilized on PC for people who might still not have a system, who want to check out games like Uncharted and games like Batman Arkham that run well. So I think that's a cool idea. But who knows if it's going to be in high demand, right? Who knows if there's going to be a lot of people jumping onto this. But I think the cool new adapter, smart idea. Don't have to worrying about cords and whatnot. So it's a cool little thing. Cool little piece of news. I thought it was worth talking about. But let's get to the important, big fucking PlayStation 4 news this week. The PS4 Slim is fucking real. It is real, motherfuckers. Thanks to our lovely friends at Eurogamer, there was a video posted showing the system booting up. We were able to grab it before Eurogamer eventually took it down, which they did from the advice of their lawyers. It is a little smaller than the PS4. It is entirely matte, so it's none of this glossy shit like on the top of like my Darth Vader PS4. That the entire top is glossy. With the regular PS4, you have like the one glossy sort of thing on the side, and then like the matte on the rest of it. It's all just matte. There's no gloss weird thing, so you don't fog up your fucking system. Because whenever that shit gets like fogged up or like grease on it, I'm like, God damn it. Fuck. Which is even more maddening because I have the Vader PS4 in it. I just want that to look pretty all the time. And the controller it comes with is a little new, a little more updated. It has a light bar included on the touchpad, which I think is very, very interesting. I don't know who tweeted this out. It was either Steven Santana from DualShockers or Jarrett Green from Irrational Passions who tweeted out, "Oh, great, an update to make the light bar even more obnoxious on my fucking controller." Shout out, it was one of you two fuckers. I don't know which one it was. Shout out to you though, because that's really like I don't understand like what the point of the light bar being on the thing is. Like, I usually, because some games utilize the light bar to show like how much health you have. If you have plenty of health, your light bar is green, and then the worse it gets, it slowly turns to red. I think that's sort of cool, but usually just playing the game itself, I can usually tell like where I'm at, right? So I honestly don't know why they're doing this. It's like a silly, weird upgrade. I think the thing they really need to focus on for a PS4 controller is the fucking sticks. They really need to like, because let me tell you, Xbox One, those fucking things, those little thumb controllers there, so fucking nice. I that's what Sony really needs to focus on right now, is updating those fuckers. But let's look at some cool things for the PS4 Slim. Some little details. I like sort of the thing here. I'm going to do something. I'm going to call out Barrett in the future, who's going to be editing this episode, to sort of put my video smaller and to put this pictures of PS4 bigger. Let's do it right now. Whoop, whoop. I'm just gonna make fucking noises and hope that I'm smart enough to pull it off. So I like this sort of on the bottom of the PS4. We got the X, circle, square, triangle, little buttons that like sort of hold up the PS4 on the ground. I like the sort of curved look it has on the top. It looks like a fine machine, and I honestly think we're gonna go back to me now. Boop, and God, I hope to fucking Christ I'm smart enough to like pull that off. Anyway, I think it's a cool thing if you've not jumped onto the PS4 bandwagon at all. I think this will be like a good piece of hardware to pick up, because it'll probably be a little cheaper than like a full new console like Slim models usually are. But the one concern I have, and it's not like a huge thing, a lot with like games and how big games file sizes are now, they're really big, and 500 gigabytes, I honestly don't think it's big enough to actually hold enough games, right? So my one concern is if we can still replace the original 500 gigabyte hard drive with a 1 terabyte or a 2 terabyte. Because let me tell you, my terabyte game is strong. In my very special Darth Vader PS4, I replaced the 500 gigabyte with the 2 terabyte one. And let me tell you, I got a bunch of games on that fucking system, still not even halfway filled up with the hard drive. So I hope that's something available that you can still do on the PS4 Slim, but maybe not. Maybe that's it's a little more compact. It might be a little more tight up in that system, so it might just be harder to replace something like that. So who knows? So that's cool. They'll probably officially. It's weird that they haven't like really come out. They probably wanted to release it at the PlayStation meeting that's happening in early September 7th, I believe. That was probably something that they were waiting to reveal then. It probably got leaked, and they probably just want to keep quiet and still have this like cool reveal. They might have like a cool trailer for something. I don't know. So it's probably something that they're going to officially talk about at the PlayStation meeting. Obviously, they're probably going to talk about PS4.5 or PS Neo, and hopefully the PS4 4.0 update. And apparently this Trinity thing, I have no idea. I don't feel like the people who are talking about this PlayStation Trinity thing are very reliable. Apparently, it's like a new iteration of the PSP. I've heard it's going to be a new version of the Vita. I hear it's going to be like a different system. I don't know what the fuck's going on. I'll wait I'll wait to believe until I see it that they're going to do like another handheld, because you know what? The Vita is fucking... No one likes the Vita. No one likes the Vita enough to keep it alive. It is fucking dead. So to try to do another Vita or PSP or whatever is sort of weird when, you know, Sony is really nailing it on the hardware space, and I feel like they should continue that route. So to have some of your PlayStation team focus on another handheld feels a little... it feels pointless at this point. I don't know. I'm not convinced about this whole Trinity guy. But anyway, one more piece of news. And it's not really news. It's just something I want to shout out and I want you to check out. Because obviously, my most anticipated game right now. Well, maybe not obviously. You might have never watched a BzG video at all and not know me whatsoever. Mafia 3. I'm really excited for Mafia 3. Because it's sort of set in 60s. It's supposed to deal a lot with race. Late 60s, sort of a town based on New Orleans and all that stuff. A lot of really cool things. A really great soundtrack that I'm surprised they got the licensing for some of this music and whatnot. I want you to read an article from Vice's Austin Walker about why Mafia 3 should tackle race head on. And I'm a little concerned about this. You can read it over on Vice.com, and I'll talk a little bit about it here. Is sort of Austin Walker went to go play sort of a demo, couple hours of Mafia 3. And... you know, if you don't know, he's a black man, and he was playing this, and they were, the vibe of the room he was getting at was like they were really nervous and always got really quiet when a character in the game, one of the white people in the game would yell out the N-word or an iteration of that or another racial slur. And while Austin Walker was like, he wasn't like, oh, this is fucking awful. He was saying that he's hoping that when the game finally comes out, that there's more of a point to when they say these racial slurs and whatnot, because he feels like they're a little more, it's a little more noise right now, like it's just sort of going on, and it's not focused on, and he wants them to just fine tune it into a tune of like sort of more of a point of saying these racial slurs and having more of like because he was saying a lot of the times, like when, you know, these words were said were in gameplay that was already like high tense. So like when you have that sort of word, it should hit you in a hard way, in an impactful way that says like, hey, yeah, this fucking sucks. Like when it happened in this time, and it's even relevant today, which is really sad. But it sort of gets dumbed down and passed over because you're in like really intense gameplay. And there are other mechanics that he talks about. If you want to go read that, I highly recommend it, because it was an interesting read, and it honestly has me a little worried about Mafia 3 and sort of seeing what they think tackling race means and whatnot. And I hope they nail it, and I hope they do it in good taste, and I hope they have a point to all of it that maybe lead up to something that has a good story to tell and have a good like message to say about all the racial bullshit that happened then and is still happening today. So, but you can read his more knowledge words there. Austin Walker, editor-in-chief of Vice Games. You can read his piece, Why Mafia 3 Should Tackle Race Head On. Anyway, that was all the news for this week, but before we go, I have a weekly segment called Don't Forget, where I talk about the upcoming video games, movies, comic books, sometimes music, just whatever's coming out this week. Not a lot on the movies and comic books this week. Not a lot to talk about, but got a couple of video games. Resident Evil 4 for the Xbox One and PS4 is coming out this next week. A lot of people are excited about this because, you know, they've been porting over or remastering the Resident Evil games over to the new systems. I think they did Resident Evil 6 first, and then they did 5, and now 4 is finally coming out. Resident Evil 4 has been given a lot of praise, if you don't know. So if there's any Resident Evil game that is worth checking out, I highly recommend Resident Evil 4. It'll be interesting to see how well the gameplay has been updated, because sort of going back to it is very different. and I don't think holds up as well, but who knows? I trust them. A lot of people have really liked these remaster porting over so far. So who knows? Who knows if they'll update that or not? Also coming out is Attack on Titan, because we needed that as a video game. Coming out on everything, like fucking PS4, Xbox One, Xbox 360, PS3, fucking PC, whatever. It's out on everything. Probably not going to be that good. I mean, come on. It's just one of those IPs that just leave it alone. Let it be. It's sort of like Legend of Korra. When they tried to make a Legend of Korra game, it was just like, why are you doing this? Why the fuck are you doing this? Anyway, and also World of Warcraft Legion coming out. I don't know if you like World of Warcraft, that's coming out, so don't forget that. So that's really all we had for Don't Forget this week. Not a lot. I looked through the movies coming out this week. I was like, nothing of consequence or of any interest of mine or anything that even sounds cool. So nothing I could really recommend on the movie or even comic book front. I have to wait another week or two for comic books. But anyway, whatever. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been BzG News. Remember, it's your last resort for all of the crazy, fucked up, nerdy news going around all over the internet. Remember, BzG News goes up every Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Remember, new show coming out for BzG, hopefully, if everything works out in the next week or two. Again, you can follow me on Twitter at BananaTheChong to get updates on that, or you could, subscribe to us right here on YouTube so you can get video updates, and you will be one of the first people to know when I have something to say about this new show. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me for BzG News this week. I hope you all have a wonderful week this weekend, and with all the new games coming out, I just hope you have fun this next week. And until next time, fucking stay nerdy. Thank you so much. Thank you all for showing up this week, especially you. See you next time.